Welcome to General Prep. This is probably one of the more important videos on this playlist, so please pay as much attention as you would like. This does have stuff for both beginner and more advanced performers, so feel free to listen. So, for the audition, you are being asked to prepare one monologue which you will definitely perform. So that is a monologue before you exit the audition. You will have performed that monologue in front of everyone. That's what you want to spend the most time working on. But you are also being asked to be familiar with all of the monologues in the audition document and all of the sides, which are just mini scenes that are in the audition document. I have a video later in this playlist about what being familiar with these kind of means, so that you know how much you have to be aware of them. So feel free to skip to that at this time if you want to know. But the first step of preparation, regardless of what you're doing and what monologue, is to read the entire play. Please, I beg of you, please. I know a bunch of people don't, but I'm just gonna give you two of my favorite reasons why to, and I think you really should. The first thing is to make sure you don't get a character that you are uncomfortable playing. Now, on the important information document, we do have a really big list of the things that the characters do, just so you can read over them and be like, oh, I'm not comfortable doing that thing, I don't want to do that. But this show is very different than the other ones that we've done before. Typically, it'll be like romance, and it's like a character kisses someone, you're not comfortable kissing someone, so you don't audition for that character. But in this show, it's violence and insults that make characters uncomfortable to play. And it's very difficult to understand the extent of that and whether you're comfortable doing it without having context. Also, with that being said, there are some things that are not on the important information document that might be objectionable to you. This is kind of an insane show. It's definitely PG-13, maybe rated R. The book's rated R, but whatever. So yeah, other things, please be aware, if you are a very religious person, you might want to pay extra attention to what is in this show before you commit to auditioning to it, because some characters literally say that they are committing acts of devil worship. The Lord of the Flies is the name of some devil-related thing. It's translated. I don't really know. But yeah, and secondly, to give a better audition, this is the more actory, pretentious reason, but it is very true. Nothing will give you more information about the plot of the show, about the characters, about the themes and the tone, than reading the show yourself. General rule of thumb, you should never audition for anything with material from a show that you haven't read in its entirety. So, with that, I do want to give some all-encompassing prep tips that are going to be helpful regardless of what you're preparing, whether it's a side or a monologue. First things first, you should have a plan about how you are going to hold the script. So when you are performing these, memorization is entirely optional. And honestly, I would not recommend memorizing if you don't have the time. I think it's way better to read the whole show and give a better performance that way. So, with that said, a lot of people print out the script and then they carry it while they perform. This works for a lot of people. For me, it doesn't, just because when I get nervous, my hands shake and I can't see the text. So what I do is I take my Chromebook and I put it on the floor with the script so I can look down at it. However, that has a drawback too, which is that I have to look away from the audience when I forget something. So it's entirely up to you. Just make sure that you do have a plan beforehand. And I've been saying this earlier, but do make sure you really are familiar with every piece of material, especially in this show. A lot of the pieces of audition material contain very intense movement. One of them literally contains a character having a seizure. You just don't want to be caught off guard by that in the audition. And some of them include profanity, so just make sure that you're comfortable saying that word. Yeah, you can read that. I hate to be the harbinger of this kind of news, but British accents. This show is a British show about British schoolboys, and Miss Gossett wants us to be British. Also, remember that the characters are 6 to 13 years old. Feel free to throw that in there. But yeah, so obviously, if you are not comfortable doing an accent, or if it is very detrimental to your performance, you don't have to worry about it. It's not the end-all be-all, but please try to do it. If you don't do it, the first thing you'll be asked to do in the audition is try it. Alright, we are moving on from the territory of very explicitly stated things in the important information document to personal advice about performance. So I do just want to say that from now on in this playlist, something that I say will not work for you. Acting is very subjective. I found what works for me, but there's a bunch of stuff that I've learned that just doesn't, and something will work for someone that will not work for you. So all of this stuff that I'm saying, not all of it works for me. I've been trying to compile as much as I can from what I've been taught, just so that I can present you with the most stuff, but it is up to you to decide what information I'm giving to hold on to and what to just throw away. So don't worry about that at all. But after you have a baseline performance, I would highly recommend recording yourself and watching it. It is the worst thing on this earth. I hate it, but you will improve a whole lot because you get to see yourself and you are your most critical observer. And try doing it lots of different ways. A lot of people get locked into their first ideas, but it's a great idea just to try something completely different with the same text and see how it feels. I think that's it. Yeah. Up next, we have two sections. We have a monologue primer and a side primer. That's kind of just to prepare you with specific advice for preparing certain things, preparing monologues or preparing sides. And then we have 3 different specific acting tips, essential questions, scoring a script, and verbing a script that will give you acting techniques to approach scripts with. Thank you very much.